Yeah, so I have to go back to the phone because the list is long here. So wide receiver is decimated for the Gators, and Mark, I believe we even brought that up in our preview, but we did get official. So where'd it go? Jaquavion Frazier's out. Ricky Pearsall is questionable, but Xavier Henderson out. Justin Shorter out, and Chacal Bowman out. So that is 2 of the 3 starters out with Henderson and Shorter. Pearsall questionable. We'll see if he plays at all. For Florida, they've had Dejon Reynolds and Caleb Douglas, young receivers, step up the last couple of weeks. But, those guys have been out there amongst the other receivers. Now they have to be the guy in this wide receiver rotation there. So that hurts. Florida, the passing game's been up and down this year anyway. But now Anthony Richardson having to rely on some young receivers who have potential. They've shown it this year, but now, if you can't get the ground game going, much like you couldn't last week, and now you have to go and maybe throw to some young receivers. Pretty tough task. It's already a tough task, but now even harder for the Gators.
David, it might be easier for you to say what receivers will actually be able to play for the Gators in this one.
Yeah, as I mentioned, like I said, Caleb Douglas, he a few games ago kind of just started stepping up for the Gators and had some big plays. Dejon Reynolds was the breakout star last week versus Vanderbilt. 2 long touchdowns passes from Anthony Richardson there versus Vanderbilt. So, yeah, I mean, another thing, like I said, Ricky Pearsall is questionable, so he'd still be the main receiver if he can go. He's still Florida's playmaker there, and they've tried to get him at times involved in the run game too with some sweeps and reverses, maybe some trick plays here or there, and he was involved early on in that aspect last week versus Vanderbilt. Probably had an easy conversion until he just slipped down on the field last week too. So he's had some big plays here and there in the run game as well. Now, but him being questionable, it benefit Florida a whole lot if he can play that slot for come Friday night.